Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Clock. I'm Alex.
I'm Corey.
And we have a very, very special guest with us this week. We have Wes Lehman.
What's up?
How you doing, man?
Tired.
Yeah?
Really tired. 2 kids at home, 1 on the way.
Oh, wow.
So we are super close. Maybe, 4 months away, 3 months away. We're past the halfway point.
Oh, geez.
Oh, man.
So, yeah. So if I look tired, it's because I am, but I'm very stoked to be here.
No worries. We appreciate you for coming.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
you are on the AMA advisory board, yeah?
I am.
So how do you come into that position?
That's a great question. I think it started with, so Dr. Lauren Jarrett,
Of course.
who's a professor here at USF. I believe that she reached out to me about it. So I had worked with her on a project called Synapse a handful of years back, right before she started teaching here at USF. And yeah, she reached out to me. She knew I was active in the community. So I said, heck yes. Yeah.
It's funny that it also starts with Dr. Jarrett, like all things AMA do. Sort of like the
that
great.
seems to be
Yeah.
the common link.
Yeah, she is like the genesis of everything.
Basically. Yeah, she scouted me. I had one of her classes and she was like, you have a podcast voice. You should do our podcast.
Absolutely.
So
Are you a marketing major?
yes. So
Okay.
we're both marketing
Okay.
majors.
Yep.
We're both in our senior year. I'm graduating in this coming spring. I think he's graduating
Right.
in the
Summer.
summer. So yeah, AMA was just a great opportunity to, get more
Right.
involved with
Yeah,
finding jobs and talking to people.
We figured it was sort of about time we started doing like the networking circuit.
for
and
sure.
whatnot.
This is a great way to do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, she's been a valuable mentor for me. Honestly, I owe a lot of my career to Dr. Jarrett.
Wow.
So I was a college dropout from USF.
We were going to ask about that.
Yeah. Oh, so you were really on the LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't worry. We've got some deep cuts from the
Oh
LinkedIn.
man, I
for
love
sure. Yeah.
it. So I dropped out of USF for health reasons actually. And so I didn't know her from there, but we had worked in this thing together, and I dropped out so I could afford a medical treatment that my insurance wouldn't cover.
Mm.
So I had to pay out of pocket, and I was like, what's a crazy way that I can make money working from bed so I don't die? This is 100% the scenario.
Mhm.
And I had run social media for my band. And so I was like, well, screw it. I can do this for people. This is no problem. I was wrong. I couldn't. I didn't know what I was doing, but I kind of reverse engineered it. But because I never had a mentor
Mhm.
or anything academic,
Mhm.
I was just truly winging it to pay bills, right? And so people would be like, they would reach out to me, be on the phone, and they'd be going, hey, can you do SEO? And I'm like, what's SEO? Yes, I can do that. I will do that for you. And that's kind of how I learned it. And so when I finally met Dr. Jarrett a handful of years into my career, she was like, oh, I ran an agency. Here's how you run an agency. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I've been pretending to run an agency.
Yep.
So she was like, here's my pricing sheet. And I'm like, oh, you mean I'm charging like a quarter of what I should be? She's like, yes, you are. And so that really, really put me into a different, I don't know if stratosphere is the right word, but it helped elevate me to the next level at that time. And so I really owe that to her.
Nice. Is that what led to you starting Urban Buffalo Marketing?
Yeah. So, I mean, it was, I'd always run with that name, Urban Buffalo.
What does it mean? How'd you
Yeah,
come up with the name?
I want to hear about that.
So one of my favorite specialties is doing names for businesses and products.
Oh, yeah?
And this is not, you won't find this anywhere because it's something that doesn't come up a whole lot. Like, I mean, people create businesses, but it's rare that people want to spend money on a name. They're like, frick, I can think of names in my sleep, and you
Yep.
can.
Mhm. And now with like AI, ChatGPT, people
Right.
just plug it into there.
Right. And the problem is a name should solve a problem. It should
Mhm.
solve an informational problem. It should solve an inspirational problem. It should solve an identity problem, right? Those 3 I's are really important. So people just wing it and they go, oh yeah, I think that's available. But they're not considering SEO. They're not considering all these different factors, not considering their domain. What's their domain name going to be? What's their Instagram handle going to be? They don't think through all these different pieces that really encapsulate what a brand identity should be.
Mhm.
Anyways, so I didn't know any of this when I named it Urban Buffalo.
Okay.
It was just, I mean, I delayed launching for like 3 months because I couldn't come up with a name. And because everyone and their mother has started a marketing startup at some point in their life, every name was taken.
Yeah.
And Urban Buffalo is random. And you know what? It's taken in Australia even. I was
That's
like, that was
insane.
something I had to consider. I'm like, and so there's actually another one out west now, like an Urban Buffalo clothing store. I'm like, come on, guys. I'm not gonna push it.
Hey, you might not have been first to market, but you're second. So
Right.
they're stepping on your toes.
So I had delayed launching for a long time, and then when I finally came up with something, I had spreadsheets. Like I wanted to sound because I have a rural background, an agricultural background.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in a farming. You probably saw some on my LinkedIn.
I didn't see this,
Well,
but I wanted to ask about
I
this.
probably took it off. But yeah, so I was born a 4th generation citrus farmer.
Okay.
So
Here in Florida?
here in Florida, from
Wow.
Canada. Yeah. So like just we're like the OGs,
Born
right?
and raised.
Right. And so I never liked tech. I never liked marketing. I was like, marketing's manipulation. That's nothing else. Tech is like us getting away from like how we were made. I was just like, I'm super crunchy granola, and also redneck. Like I had a long beard. I played in a folk band. I played banjo. I had never wore shoes.
Oh man, I wish you didn't.
We were trying to
mention that.
surprise you with the
Yeah.
banjo because we saw the certification. We were going through every single
We
instrument. that you had
dove-
That's on my
certified.
LinkedIn.
It's on
We
your
dove
LinkedIn.
into
It's
your
deep.
skills.
That's how desperate I
It's so
was
deep.
to fill out my LinkedIn when I started because I had zero skills.
You don't understand. You don't understand how deeply that I resonate with that. I feel like my LinkedIn is so barren.
Mhm.
I'm digging through like everything. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, that's. Let's talk about that. I have an idea for you. Don't put a banjo. That's my idea. Yeah. So where was I?
You were
Oh,
a
you're talking
4th
about-
generation citrus
Yeah.
farmer. You were
Humble
very crunchy,
beginnings.
crunchy
Right.
granola and whatnot.
Yeah, so like I never thought that marketing would be my thing, and I wanted to bring that into the name.
Yeah.
And I wanted to bring like that. Okay, this is tech, but it's also like I can relate because I actually really wanted to work with blue collar type people,
Mm-hmm.
and not just like I didn't want to be like going straight to the Sykes building downtown and being
Yep.
like, hey, I want to work with your bank. That wasn't me.
Mm-hmm.
That's me now, but it wasn't then. And so I wanted to bridge the urban, and the buffalo is just it's my favorite animal.
Okay.
I call it my spirit animal. I don't really believe in that, but that's what I call it. And I had a dream about it one time, and I talked to a Native American woman, and she said, "That is your spirit animal. I can tell." And I was like, "That's weird, but I like it, so we're gonna roll with it."
Nice.
That's urban buffalo.
All right.
That's solid. That's solid.
Yeah, that's a great origin story for the name. I wanted to ask, since you said you come up with names for products and businesses, we are thinking about rebranding the podcast name.
Yeah, because right
Let's
now,
go.
my understanding is that if you want to have a good name,
Mhm.
it needs to have good SEO. Like people need to, if you search for it, it should be one of the
Right.
first like hit results, and it needs to convey the value proposition of whatever it is that you're making.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, our podcast name is AMA Off the Clock, and I
Which
feel
is
like
which is great. We stand on the shoulders of giants.
we stand on the shoulders of giants. We were left an amazing, awesome brand.
Yeah.
However, there are a lot of things named off the clock.
And a lot of things named AMA.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I don't feel like it properly conveys the value we're trying to provide as a podcast. We're trying to be like a little bit funny, a little bit informational,
Right.
appealing to college students, all that type of thing. So since you're a big names guy,
What? Put me on the spot, man.
Well, we have a name.
Okay,
Yes.
okay,
in
that'd be
mind.
better.
Yeah,
Because
we have
that's like a 3-day exercise.
Yep.
yeah.
Alex actually came up with this.
Yes.
It's amateur hour, but AMA is like,
Because
a
amateur
different-
spelled AMA.
I like that.
Yeah. And the idea is that we're going to take professionals, bring them in so that we can turn us amateurs,
Amateurs.
into eventual marketing
That's good.
professionals.
It's so the meaning is there. It's really
Mhm.
good. Have you done the SEO check? And podcast SEO is different than just normal search engine SEO.
Yeah.
Mm.
We-
Haven't gone through it yet.
No,
Yeah.
we don't have like a domain, so we just have to
Yeah.
worry
Yeah.
exclusively about like
You could probably get like
Spotify.
amateurhour.live.fm. You could probably find those.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're mostly working with Spotify, eventually YouTube,
Yes.
and Apple Podcasts.
Mhm.
Sweet.
The idea was launching the YouTube page in like concert with us maybe rebranding the podcast.
Yep.
Are you distributing through Spotify for podcasters? Wow. Spotify
Yes.
for podcasters?
Yeah, that's what we're using. So
Okay.
it automatically uploads to Spotify and Apple Podcasts at the moment.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, that's how we're doing things so far.
I like it. It's going to be hard though. It's going to be an upward climb because there's a lot of amateur hours.
Yeah.
We've been trying to get it approved for a while.
hmm
So
I can picture the logo in my head. It's like it's just an idea right now, but
Mhm.
we're trying to make it work.
you don't understand. We're clipping this and we're sending this to our.
But here's the difference. It's going to need to be amateur hour. You're going to need extra qualifiers to make
Mhm.
it passable from it's called a legal standpoint.
Mhm.
Sure.
I'm not
Okay.
a lawyer. Everyone knows that.
Made official for the record. Yeah.
I always have to disclose this to people I talk to.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's one of the hard parts. And also, it's like, do you want to include your names or do you want to leave a legacy for people behind you?
So that's the thing. So Kennedy's on audio. Since
Mhm.
we're both seniors and we're graduating, she is not. She's a sophomore. So this probably is going to get left to her after we end up graduating.
Mhm.
And it's probably going to keep going as like, college is a 4-year thing, maybe 3 years for some people, maybe less. So it's going to keep going. And I'd like for us not to have to rebrand in the future for whoever ends up inheriting it. So it's difficult. I was thinking of like subtitles that I could add because it's like, I don't want to be too wordy and too clunky because that's not going to help with anything. If I go like amateur hour turning amateurs into professionals or whatever.
Yeah, the name gets cut off on Spotify.
Exactly. Like you see it, it's jacked up. So
my rule for names is never more than 3 words. 2 is ideal.
Mm-hmm.
1 is rare, but great. And then usually the 1 actually has a second word, but you just kind of hide it.
Yeah.
3 is definitely max.
Okay.
And so, to create it into like a qualifier, like amateur hour marketing, is marketing, using marketing, is it too narrow for what you guys typically talk about?
I mean, the focus of the podcast is supposed to be marketing.
Right.
Yeah.
We end up talking about other things and then finding a way to relate to marketing.
Sure. Yeah. That's the best part to do marketing.
Yeah.
We had a 40-minute episode about the MCU.
We did.
I wish I was on that one.
I mean, hey, we're always open topic wise.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we were talking about how the new Fantastic Four movie.
Okay.
And I was a little disappointed that they cast Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom, just because I don't have the most faith that they're going to adapt the character honestly.
Yeah, I'm the opposite side of this coin. I think it's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
I think he is an incredible actor, and I think as long as he doesn't take off the mask and they give him enough like prosthetics and they give him a voice changer, I think no one's going to care, and I think it's going to be awesome.
Are they doing a narrative tie-in from Iron Man to Doom, like a transfiguration?
We don't really know.
We don't
There
know.
is a comic for that, but we don't know if they're going to go with that storyline.
Yeah,
I think they have to. I can't let go of it. I'm on your side. I can't let go of it.
I hope they don't. I really hope they don't.
Yeah, see, the thing that's going to bother me is Dr. Doom's character is so like obsessed with Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four and all that, and like what they're going to do because the writers and it's the larger conversation that we were having was just like modern writing is so nostalgia focused, and so focused on fan service over story.
Yeah.
So like they're going to have like Spider-Man's going to come up to him and be like, "Oh my gosh, Mr. Stark, what are you doing?" And this is like not at all related to the character.
I think we more than likely are going to get the Iron Man tie-in, much to my chagrin.
Yeah,
it's probably going to be a nod that can be interpreted either way.
You know what?
That's
I would accept that as a happy medium.
Sure. Yeah.
Hey, as long as we get some MF Doom, you know,
it's my favorite.
playing.
It's my favorite character in the MCU is Doctor Doom. So they need to do him justice, or they've lost my business forever.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So switching gears, you've done a lot of volunteer work.
Yeah, I actually have some stuff pulled up on your volunteer work. I looked at your LinkedIn.
I think I'm getting roasted right now.
No. So
is Jeff Ross here?
Yeah. What about your tenure with Metropolitan Ministries? I saw on your LinkedIn it was like over 10 years. It's like 2013 to present.
Well, that needs to be changed. It's not over 10 years. I'll tell you that much.
Oh man,
it was a handful of years though.
Okay.
I worked at Metropolitan Ministries during the holidays. Actually, a guy that I was working with, I was a handyman throughout college.
Oh, okay.
Along with being a musician, and so my head handyman, he was like one of the people in charge, like one of the top volunteers every year, and so he always pulled me into it, and I really liked it. So I ended up like manning stations and like directing volunteers and that kind of thing. So it was always seasonal, but it was one of those things that helped me get into what it looks like behind the scenes for events. And like as a musician, I did a lot of events obviously too, but I never was on the logistics side. But it gave me a lot of that behind the scenes for, this is how you direct people. This is how you lead teams. This is how you motivate people who like maybe their company drugged them there, or maybe it's like kids and their parents drugged them there.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, I got to create buy-in for these kids and for these people who are just kind of here doing whatever. And so help motivate them and get them together. It was like a foundational piece of me understanding like leadership and like how things run logistically.
Yeah, absolutely. I also saw you worked in Jamaica for.
Jeez, dude, I need to take this stuff off.
No.
So
you worked in Jamaica, and I wanted to know like how was that experience, and like what's
buffing out my LinkedIn 10 years ago.
what was like your most important takeaway from that?
Ooh, man. I'm gonna spread it out beyond Jamaica to some other countries.
That's fine.
So I've done like humanitarian work and missions work in a handful of countries: Jamaica, Haiti, Costa Rica.
Wow.
Cuba. So a lot of the third world type countries that are closer to us. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you one of the moments I had from Haiti. We had spent about 10 days in Haiti at that point. And I remember we took like a day to just like go for a little hike. And we hiked up. And Haiti is very, it's dry. If you were just, what's that GeoGuessr game? Have you ever seen GeoGuessr?
I love GeoGuessr.
Yeah, me too. You would pick Afghanistan every time. You get dropped in the street in Haiti. I mean, their walls of their buildings along the street, like where their stores would be, like they're just cinder blocks that have like, imagine a building being cut in half with a laser.
Oh, jeez.
But not a really good laser. Basically, if they wanted to widen their streets, they would take a bulldozer and just bulldoze half the storefronts down.
Yeah.
And that's how they would widen. So people their government's just so corrupt.
Yeah.
And I remember being up there and thinking, we hiked up this mountain hill to this little water tower. We were sitting on top of the water tower, and I felt so depressed because I was like, okay, yesterday I'm out in a rural village being chased by tarantulas, and people are so happy.
Yeah.
And I'm depressed. And I couldn't figure out how to connect it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, who do I think I am coming here telling people how they can have a better life? No, we're help building schools and doing this kind of, like, obviously we're doing good things. Mm-hmm. But I just felt like it was so temporary. One of the things we were doing is we were working with I'm not sure what the right word is, but basically some of these countries, they will dispose of children who are born with deficiencies, are born with
disabilities.
Yeah, disabilities, mental or thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they'll just toss them over like a fence or a wall and leave them there to be hopefully found.
Yeah.
And so like we would spend time with them. One of the things that we did, I had brought a guitar with me, not a banjo, but a guitar. And a lot of these kids would be bedridden. And they would have, it's called like water in the head. That's how it's literally translated. I forget what, but it doesn't really happen here because we have a medical process for it. Like it happens, but we catch it right away and we fix it as soon as babies are born. They don't have that access there. And so they're just slowly dying. And like, they're still able to find joy in the music and running around playing soccer for those that were able to. These were abandoned. And I'm just like, dude, I can't do anything for these people.
Yeah.
There's nothing I could really do to help them or like make a difference in their lives, even for people who are just, healthy. Mm-hmm. And that emptiness was really hard. And so I just sat there on top of this water tower and I was like, there's nothing physical we can leave behind. Mm-hmm. There's nothing we can teach. Like, they don't need any of my lessons. Like, I need their lessons. And I think there's a bigger love. What hit me was there is a much bigger love to leave behind than anything that we could bring or build.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. It seems like a lot of perspective, like a lot of perspective gained in going there.
Yeah. Jamaica was similar in many ways.
Yeah.
It's important to sort of build a connection with the people when you're there because they might have a limited timeline and you gotta
absolutely
maximize
and
it.
You not only touch their lives in like a physical way for building a school, leaving some kind of like physical legacy behind, but they touched your life it seems very deeply, and that carries through to the way that you treat others, the way that you treat your children, etc.
So what are some lessons that you've learned related to being a father?
How's fatherhood been?
So my wife and I have been married for 2.5 years.
Oh, okay.
And we have 2.5 kids. Yes, we know how it happens. We know how it works. That's the question we always get. No, we're not Catholic. That's the other question we get. So it's been all of them largely surprises, very happy surprises. But it's taught me a lot of patience. I mean, one of the analogies I say for kids is it's like having part of you live outside of your body.
Oh, okay. I've never heard that one before.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's freaking weird because like my son will be like, "Oh, I don't want to finish chewing this apple," and he'll spit it out. I'm like, "Oh, I can eat that." I'm like, "Why did I just do that?" And I'm like, "That's basically my saliva."
50% of it is yours.
Really freaking weird, but like, it's just like right. Another 50% is my wife, so it's not too bad. Sorry, dear. Yeah, I mean, it's that type of like. Just and people always say like when you first have a kid, like you'll know, and like your world will change when you first hold that baby. And I remember standing in the hospital holding my son Stetson and going, I don't feel it.
Yeah. When is it happening?
I'm like, I just want this thing to come along with me on all the amazing journeys.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a world shifter right away. But it actually is very, very similar to what I was talking about with Haiti and with Jamaica, in that like I am leaving. I don't like the word legacy very much because it feels prideful, but I am leaving a legacy behind in something that's beyond me, and that's what it is. When I talk to people, they're like, "I'm not sure if I want to have kids or not." I'm like, totally respect that, but also if you want to make a difference, here's the biggest way you can make a difference from like a data standpoint, because if you raise an amazing child. You are multiplying. You're literally multiplying yourself and your impact. And so that's what it's been for me, man. Like it's, yeah.
I've heard it changes your life. I've
Absolutely.
heard one of the things I heard about like parenthood is there was like someone tweeted and it was like, it's the opposite of a death in that when someone dies who's close to you, you think about there's all these things that you can't do with each other anymore and all the things that you'll never see with them anymore. And then when you have a kid, it's like, wow, this is a new person that I can experience all these awesome things with. Like I can take them to movies. I can take them to baseball games.
Right, yeah.
I can do all this stuff. I was wondering if you sort of felt that.
Which part?
I mean, the new life is awesome, you know, that type of thing.
It is. I mean, I think
it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, a lot of sleepless nights at the start.
the ROI is confusing.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've realized, and you know, whether you believe fully in evolution, fully in creation, whatever, it's the only part of life where we create in the same way that we were made or came to be. Like there's no other silo that we can live in that like we are creating new life. I mean, we can't do it in a lab. We can't do it. Not, you know, really. And so that part, it's like, and it's not supposed to be, I don't mean that in a way like, look how powerful we can be, but it's like, look how we've been blessed and given the opportunity to do something that we can't do anyway else. And that part is just, that's what hits me. I mean, it gives it an extra depth. I think when you're single or when you're not married, like your ranges of highs and lows kind of go from like zero is your baseline. You go from like a +1 to a -1. And then you get married and things go from like a +10 to a -10 because you have another person along for the ride. When you have kids, it's like a +100 to a -100. And then it's just the swings.
The variance.
Yeah. And like, I mean, because when your kid is sick and crying and screaming up all night, it's not even like you're angry. You're just like, I just want you to be okay.
Yeah.
And that like feeling helpless when your kid's in the hospital, like those kind of things give you the biggest perspective shifts. I feel like people don't talk about the real perspective shifts. I feel like it's hard to have the language to.
Yeah. Because it's just a completely unique feeling. Like,
it's also like a very, like, it's a natural sort of like evolutional, for like a lack of a better term.
It's why everyone's been having kids for years and years.
Yeah. It feels good.
I can think of another reason too.
It does.
Yeah.
About the perspective shift though, I imagine it isn't as much as, you know, people like to say like the minute you hold it, everything changes. I imagine it's a lot more gradual. I imagine it's, you know, when they take their first step, or, you know, when they, you know, eat your favorite food for the first time and they enjoy it, or, you know, you see them eat a popsicle, or you see them trip and fall, or anything like that. It's the little things that sort of compound into that major perspective shift that you don't notice immediately. You notice much later when one day you end up thinking about something and the first thing you think about is what's my son doing right? Or how's that going to affect him,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
It's when that shift sort of happens, I imagine.
Yeah.
All I can
that's
say.
pretty accurate. It's pretty
Okay.
accurate. My advice would be to have kids earlier too, because I waited till I was 30. I mean, we got married when I was 30.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, there's probably, I see like parents who are like 40 and like they have like a 20-year-old son, and I'm like, that's amazing. Like that's dude, that's what I want.
Yeah, my parents are born 1980, so
Okay.
44
Nice.
this year.
That's awesome. So you guys like have a different relationship because you guys are.
Yeah, it's weird.
I'm assuming.
It's weird how it like. It's weird seeing the shift from your parents being your parents into your parents being like almost your friends.
Like
Because-
other adults.
Exactly. Because my dad, it's just, I went in, I interviewed my dad for a school thing recently, and we were just sitting there like in his office just talking about,
Right.
sports and things that were happening. It's just like it feels very similar to the relationship that I have with my friends. And it's weird. And I feel like I get to have them for so much longer than like if they were to have me when I was like, or when they were like in their 40s.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not going to have to deal with like graduating college and then maybe they're sick and I have to take care of them.
Right.
Because you just have that longer time horizon. It's really nice.
Yeah, I can't get over my parents aging. It's very strange to me because like I don't understand. Like I live like 4 hours away, basically, so I don't get to see them too often.
Broward
like,
boy over here.
Yeah, mostly for like holidays and whatnot. And I came back and I didn't see my dad for like a year and a half because like he's working and the times didn't line up or whatever. And I came back and my dad had like way more gray in his beard than he did before. And I was like, you can't do that. You can't age when I'm not here. I'm not allowing you to do that.
Right.
I also have a younger brother. It's a 10-year age gap.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's grown like a weed. And I walked in and he's chest level.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. That's not right.
That 10-year gap is interesting. I was thinking about that today because I was walking out outside of Chick-fil-A here,
Mm-hmm.
and that little area that dips down with like those big
Like the amphitheater thing.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was sitting here 10 years ago, like figuring out what I was trying to do with my life. Was I going to drop out of college? Like, I remember sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, that was 10 years ago. I sent a picture of a shirt to my buddy, shout out Will, the other day. That was, it's too inappropriate. I can't say it on the podcast. But it's a shirt that I had bought when I was a freshman in high school, not realizing it was inappropriate. And so he had to explain it to me. It was one of those. And so I sent the picture and I was like, dude, this was 20 years ago. And I'm like, I can't. And so, like, the gap between us is about 10 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 30. I just turned 33. And so I'm just like, dude, that feels so strange. And with me coming out of basically was a lifelong debilitating illness. I shouldn't say lifelong. It started when I was about 14. And it didn't end until I was 30. So when I was 30, it was more than half my life.
Yeah, wow.
And it was that latter end. And going straight into marriage. So I was like coming out of that and I was like, okay, I need to process. Like my therapist was like, hey, you need to process not trauma, but loss. He's like, you've lost relationships, you've lost friendships, you've lost futures, you've lost careers, you've lost the ability to play football, all the things. And I'm like, yeah, I need to process that. And then I get married like 3 months after my treatment finished and I was okay and healthy and good to go. And then like have 3 kids right away. And it's just like, I don't know what the time is from 10 years ago sitting on the steps outside of this room.
It goes fast.
It's strange.
Incredibly fast.
We are about to graduate college, which is very strange and very scary because I do not feel like
college won't prepare you for shit.
Yeah, no. I feel the same that I've felt since I was like 17.
Dude, thank you. Me too.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't change, brother.
Yeah, it was my 21st birthday last month, and I was like, that's not like I thought about it and I was like, oh cool, I can drink. Right. When I think about it, it's like I don't feel 21 because I picture myself like back in high school, 15.
Yeah.
The things that I was doing then, I'm still doing most of the same stuff as them, but then I realized that's like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Like one of my roommates, because I got randomly assigned roommates on campus, it's a whole thing. One of my roommates brought over this guy that I knew in middle school, who I haven't talked to in like years. And he walks in the front door. I haven't seen this person since like I was like 13, 14.
Yeah.
And it's just...
Does he clock you instantly? Does he go,
yeah.
Oh, Alex.
Yeah, no. I go, George? And he goes, Alex? And I'm like, this is crazy. But that was like 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
It's crazy how fast the time goes. But
yeah, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. everything I was into at 17, I'm still into.
Yep.
Now I'm
still
like
play Madden.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now I'm like 21, and I remember I was home for summer. My mom walks into my room, and she's like, "Yeah, we're gonna go to the casino today." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool, have fun." My mom was like, "Do you want to come with us?" I was like,
You were how old?
"This year."
Oh, okay, sweet. I thought you said 7.
No, I was
I
was like, what am I gonna do at the casino, Mom? Like, just be for real. What am I gonna do? My mom was like, "You're 21, you can gamble," and I was like, "I'm 21, I can gamble? This is news to me." So I went and I played craps, and I lost like $15.
There you go.
But it was a valuable experience. I got carded at the table. That was pretty nice. But yeah, I don't know. Time doesn't feel real. I don't know when it's going to start feeling real, but apparently it never feels real.
It doesn't, dude. I mean, we put narrative. This, if you want to tie it back into marketing,
please and thank
here's
you.
your chance.
Please and thank you.
Awesome.
We put narrative around things to make sense of them, so that we can understand them and really be at ease ourselves. I mean, the start of narrative comes from self-comfort.
Yeah.
And so when we're talking about things, we often look to the people around us. We look to the narrative that's been put before us. Okay, I'm 40, now I grow a mustache. Like, that was a thing that people used to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they said it out loud, but they would think it.
Oh, there's a similar thing now. We talk about it a lot, is like when you hit 30, you have to spec into
you have to become one type of guy for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and it's like, do you like golf? Do you like model trains?
Right.
Do you like do you like to
Are you the
grill
car
meats?
guy?
Yeah.
Do you have a grill in your backyard? Do you invite everyone over for a cookout?
It's a thing. It's an identity issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of times we don't know what our identity actually is, and we try to solve that by creating narrative around it, and we use the narrative as our identity, but it's actually just something we're telling ourselves to make ourselves feel comfortable.
Sure.
Yeah.
My follow-up question,
Which is what I call a PR problem.
My follow-up question is, what type of guy are you now that you are past 30? What kind of guy are you specking into?
I'm a dadpreneur. That's my
Okay.
I don't have a choice.
Trademark that.
Yeah,
I don't have a
trademark
choice.
Dadpreneur.pod.
That's a good question. I have always been. Okay, I'm trying to think. My therapist. I know I only say this because my therapist said it. He defined me as an autodidactic polymath.
Whoa,
Right. So get the dictionaries out.
I could not spell that.
We're gonna put it on
basically
screen.
means I am. I've mastered a lot of areas through self-teaching. And so it's really hard for me because I used to be like musician, businessman, write. I was an athlete, like all the things. Like I was, I danced, I sang, I play 8 different instruments.
Banjo being one of them.
That's probably my rustiest too. Ironically, if you broke out a banjo right now, I'd be really embarrassed. So
well. Luckily, it's right under the table now.
Check under your chair.
Mandolin, we'd be all right. But
okay.
It's hard because like my wife the other day, we were cleaning out what is currently my office to make it into a third nursery, and she was like, "Can we just put these guitars in storage?" She's like, "You don't play them," and I'm like, "I want to play them." Yeah.
How many times have you had to move your office,
dude?
I was just curious.
Well, in this house twice.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's been rough. We're now considering the closet. No joke.
No way. Oh, man.
Next to the
relegated
dog
to the closet.
Yeah.
You're turning into Harry Potter. That's tough.
Hey man, that worked out well. Okay.
It's true. It's true.
It's true. You saved the world. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the guy, I am I am probably the anti-tech guy now. That's what I am.
Really?
Yeah. I'm going more and more down. Like if I were to like bring my inside words outside here.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I think we've lost the plot with progress, and we are in digress.
I see.
Because of how reliant and everything, which is not a hot take at this point, but I think people often go, we need to go back to being an agricultural society, agrarian society, and I'm like, hunters and gatherers.
I did that one.
Hunters and
I beat that
gatherers
one.
are pretty good. That's so I want to I'm in the stage of like, let me kill. You said the meat guy. I want to kill my own meat, put it in the freezer.
He's a hunting guy. That's one of them.
That is one of the guys.
I do love to hunt fish. That's
there you go.
There you go. You get your hat. You get your
my
camo.
dad's the fishing guy.
I do have it, man.
Yeah. can't tell. Now the LinkedIn knowledge is wavering, but I feel like I remember seeing something crypto adjacent on your.
I don't think so.
LinkedIn.
Okay.
I am crypto illiterate.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
gonna say because we are also quite crypto illiterate.
Yeah, I think we were mixing it up with the fractional CMO stuff, which that sounds like a
That's hilarious.
cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
It does
type
sound
deal.
like a crypto.
I was going to ask specifically about the music stuff, and also you ran a podcast back in the day, yeah?
I ran a podcast for Synapse. So Synapse Florida, the Synapse podcast. It's still up. We haven't dropped an episode in a while because we've been doing some shifts within the organization. And as you guys know, it takes time to do a podcast.
For sure, yeah.
But yeah, it still exists. There's some great episodes up. But that was I was actually mainly on the sound engineer kind of co-hosting side, but I happened to be the person that had that skill set. And with a nonprofit, it doesn't really matter. Like if you're the toilet cleaning guy and that's what you're good at, that's what you can focus on because you want to move the mission forward. And so I was the audio engineer more than I was the host.
Nice.
Yeah.
What are some lessons that you've learned in doing that? And also, like, I feel like in the content creation space, it's very easy to get in your head.
Mm-hmm.
How do you avoid that?
Ooh, Wim Hof. Do you know Wim Hof? WIM space HOF. He is he's known as the Iceman. He is a breathing wizard.
Oh, he's like, is that like the guy that sits in like the super cold water and just breathes in and out?
Oh,
and, like,
I don't know about this guy.
So
I've seen clips of this guy.
Yeah, so I live in my own head. I am hyper like meta analysis of myself, like layer upon layer of like what perspective am I looking at myself at? Like that, and I will literally start analyzing how I'm watching, and it just spirals.
Yep.
So breathing is very helpful. I mean, I was nervous coming in here today, which like, why? I don't know. I'm used to doing this kind of thing. I speak pretty regularly in front of big, good amount of people. I performed in front of 5,000. I've sold out House of Blues. Like
oh wow,
we're gonna get to that. In
improvising things like there's no reason. I know but I literally walk in here today and go, I don't know what I'm gonna say. What if nothing comes? It's ridiculous. This is like what I do. That to me never goes away. I sometimes you've seen me lecture, right?
I don't think you've lectured for any of my classes.
Oh, you came in after I was lecturing. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you seen me lecture here?
I believe so. No.
So a lot of times, one of the reasons I like to lecture here is because like it is content, and I'm actually working on content the same way a stand-up works on content.
Yeah,
and that's how I think of it.
Type 5.
And yeah, and so I love that. Sometimes I will literally just throw out something will come to my head. I'm like, I don't know how to wrap that up into this, and I go, let me just see if I can launch the plane and figure out a way to land it.
Yeah.
You ever seen the video of the guy who hijacked a plane and like was just like, I never learned how to actually land it. I just wanted to fly it around and see if I could do some cool maneuvers.
Oh, I have seen that guy.
It's a pretty dark video.
I understand. I remember the video now.
He doesn't.
He does not land it.
But I like to try to land it. And so that's like my, it's just, it kind of helps you. And that I actually got that from like jazz and being a musician of like, if I do one of the great music theorists of our time that nobody knows of, he's actually from Brandon, Florida. His name is Dave Clark. He taught me that there is no such thing as a wrong note, only a wrong resolution.
Yeah.
And that changed. Are you a musician?
No, but I understand.
I just started
the
playing guitar like this January.
All right. So you can't mess up unless you don't fix it. But it was such a helpful thing because I'm a perfectionist and I'm like, and every time I hit the wrong note, I literally would go back to the top of the page and go, okay. He was like, get out of your head, like figure out a way to land it, not analytically, but like in feeling.
Yeah.
And so with content, you have to be comfortable swinging and missing. In the last, I keep forgetting more in that lecture. In the last lecture I gave here in the class before you, I talked about like how when you make a mistake with social, let's say you do something stupid, or you just own it and you go, yep, like we bit the dust on that.
Yep.
Excuse me, or just burp into the mic, either one. That's so you got to be okay with making those swings and making those misses, and then don't be afraid to take the chances, man. Like no one's gonna remember you in 100 years.
Yeah.
Like what do you? So that's how I try to get out of my own heads. I tell myself all those things. Sure. I read Wim Hof. I do the breathing exercises. I do breathing exercises every day. Did one before I came in here, before every meeting, as much as I can. Cold showers.
I've been trying to get on the cold shower train, but
I can't do it, man.
It's tough.
In the words of yoga, do or do not. There is no try.
Yeah. No, I do not. I can't. I like my showers warm. I need them scalding. But I wanted to ask specifically about the music stuff. You know, we saw that your band is on your Spotify, or your Spotify with your band is on your LinkedIn.
Yes.
We took a look at the Spotify as well.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this band is not even together anymore.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask about the band.
When are they coming back? When are they making a reunion tour?
You might be getting into some... Okay, go ahead.
I don't... I know I am not very well versed in like folklore as a genre. So I want to know sort of your thoughts on folklore, how touring is with folklore.
Yeah.
You know, you said you did the social media for
Wait, when you say
band.
folklore...
Like folk music.
Folk music, sorry.
Okay.
You were in like a folk band.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah. I didn't know if you were going like the folklore Taylor Swift route, or if you were going like...
It's literally the only... like
cinematic universe route.
It's the only frame of reference I have.
Okay.
Also,
so that's how
Taylor
limited
Swift
my
mentioned.
knowledge. Yeah,
Knock it out.
Yeah, that's the checkbox.
Shout out to my wife.
Yeah, your bingo, your AMA bingo cards are.
Yep.
I took my wife to see Taylor Swift, so that's why I know her discography.
She's an amazing performer.
inside and out. She was great. It was an amazing show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to like it. But yeah.
She
So, sorry, your question was...
No, I mean, I just
what was it
wanna
like
know-
touring with folk?
Yeah, I want to know like what folk is like as a genre, how touring works with that.
Yeah. Are you familiar with metal?
Eh,
Yeah, y'all's generation is out on metal, dude. I don't know what the deal is. Y'all got to figure that out.
there's new metal, but
Okay, all right. So there's a lot of... It's similar to metal in many ways. Yeah, that was my background. I came from a metal band and folk.
okay.
And so, but for folk music, a lot of like hippie bluegrass type shows.
Right.
It's this weird like mixture of like stand and say pledge allegiance to the flag with like the Unabomber. Right. It's like this Ted Kaczynski.
No,
like,
I get it.
It's like some middle ground there. Like somewhere between Jesus and Ted Kaczynski.
That's a happy medium.
Yeah, dude. So it was a lot of fun. We'd go to a lot of shows, and I remember like we would sleep in tents a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd be out there sleeping in a tent, and all night people are playing, having jam sessions around campfires, passing moonshine, and you just hear all night.
Yeah,
the same bass line, because people just they're just doing that whole thing all the way through.
Yep.
And I got so sick of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it taught me some really unique things. We had a 4-person band, but 5 people touring, in a 5-seater truck with a trailer behind us. And so it was like, grassroots touring. And we would go and like stay at people's houses. Like you wouldn't always know where you were going to, we planned it out, but like you would get to where you're going to stay. Like because we would try to avoid hotels because it's expensive.
Yeah.
If we like had a friend in an area, we'd, hey, can we stay with you? We go play the show, whatever. And we would crash, but sometimes you get in there and it's like, yeah, you're sleeping on the wood floor, and you're like, okay, cool. And having like spent time in different third world countries, it was kind of baked in. Because I'm like, for example, in Jamaica, we would sleep on like a cement roof.
Yeah.
And most of the time, everyone's air mattress would pop. And so by the end of the trip, you're just sleeping on some. I remember one time I fell asleep with like a cement brick as my pillow, and I was just like, one of the things that it taught me, and I also learned this through actually a story about POWs. There's a story of POWs who got captured, and there was 4 of them, and they had to live in like an 8x8 area for a long time. And to not go insane and not hurt each other when they're being starved and tortured and all these things, they made a rule that was, if you get annoyed, it's your fault.
Interesting.
And that's the kind of mindset that you need to have on tour.
I see.
I didn't have it as good as I should have then, looking back, but it's, the things we get annoyed at are usually our own issues.
Yeah.
In some way or another. And so it helped me be able to be really flexible. It helped me, I think, in my entrepreneur journey, because that the improvisation, the flexibility, the logistics, my first sales lesson was selling CDs.
Yeah.
And I remember,
A dying medium at this point.
yeah, dude.
Well, it's coming back in its own way.
Yeah,
Really?
we're seeing a rise in physical
there's
media
like
now.
a bunch of like vinyl collectors.
I'm a vinyl guy.
Yeah,
There you
I'm a
go.
vinyl guy. I got them hung up on my wall in my room. A lot of different vinyls, but people are doing that in the same way that they're doing CDs now.
Yeah.
Because CDs are just cheaper.
It sort of
Easier to
it
store.
sort of ties into what you said earlier. Sort of like people are sort of rejecting this like all digital kind of age that we're in. People are returning to like wanting to own physical like media.
Yeah. I think your generation sees my generation, and our generations are micro now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
difference between them is getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, like how do you differentiate a millennial from a Gen Z, from a Gen Alpha, from a...
I think the best way to do it is the average of when you got a cell phone, a smartphone.
That's such a good
Smartphone.
metric.
That's a good
yeah.
metric.
I didn't get a smartphone until I was late in high school. I didn't get a cell phone until I was 9th grade, like a regular cell phone, and so I didn't get a smartphone until way later. It's how basically when were you constantly online?
Yeah.
Mm.
No, mine was 8th grade, like 7th, 8th grade.
Yeah.
First day of
Wow.
middle school, my dad gave me an iPhone, and then it was
Wow.
just over for me.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, and it's getting earlier and earlier. My little brother,
Mhm.
who just turned 10 or just turned 11 or something, has had a phone for like 2 years already. Why'd you give him that?
A smartphone?
Yeah, why? He doesn't need that.
Who's he gonna
Right.
call?
Yeah, exactly.
I think the logic usually goes, oh, well, if they're gonna be at school, like I want to know they're gonna be okay. All this,
Yeah.
which makes sense, but like get your kid a dumb phone because,
For sure.
like, dude, I mean, access to any violent thing, porn, like it's just gonna
Mhm.
your mind so bad.
Mhm.
Man, I mean, I think you see that if you read books like from authors like Jonathan Haidt. I think he wrote that was The Age of Anxiety. I'm getting it mixed up, but he's written different books about tech and anxiety,
Mhm.
and it talks about that, and that's the number one correlation is how early you got a smartphone because you are seeing things. My wife the other day was like, "Did you hear about this horrible tragedy that happened where like all these kids died?" And I'm like, I can't even. I'm trying to walk out the door and have my day, and like, you shouldn't have even seen that. And she's just telling me a headline, and I'm just like, now I'm picturing it, and so we just kind of live with these weights and these anxieties that are not ours to really carry. But how can if you have any level of empathy, how can you not carry that?
Exactly.
And it's also we're constantly exposed because of the algorithms that are pushing towards like the more controversial stuff, the more angry stuff,
Yeah,
more
it's
comments.
about sensationalizing
Exactly.
like, everything.
Yeah, and you don't have enough space in your brain to like. We're not built to be dealing with constant negativity and just all these people. We know too many people. We weren't meant to know this many people.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Dunbar's number. You're familiar with Dunbar's number?
I'm not.
So Dunbar's number is the theory that there's only a certain amount of people. I think the average is
Like
1.
7 between you and any other person on the planet.
Oh, you're talking about the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Come on, man. Get your theories together.
Never mind.
No, Dunbar's number is like there's a set number of people that you know.
Oh, okay.
And then once you meet a new person, somebody drops off the list.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And it's I think it's better in theory than as like everyone has a set number.
Yeah.
Like there is a set number universally.
Yeah.
But they kind of theorize it around the idea of villages and how we evolved as societally.
Mhm.
Like, why would you need to know more people? And so then when you have, 3,000 followers and 150 of them get pissed at you, you're like, everyone hates me.
Yeah.
They're pushing out all the good influences in your
Right.
life.
Yeah.
It makes sense. All right. Well, we're getting close to time.
Yeah, I think so.
So last question that we wanted to ask you. Dropped out of college, but still made a pretty good name for yourself, doing some good work, have a mostly fulfilling life from what I've heard.
Mhm.
What is your number one piece of advice that you'd give to any aspiring creative, any aspiring marketing person, anyone who feels kind of disillusioned, a little scared of the future? What would be some advice that you would give?
The number one? Oh, man. I could make a
only
whole
one thing.
series about
Only
this.
one thing.
Golly. Give me a more specific question because I can't answer something so...
What advice would you give to
open.
us?
What advice would you give to us?
Oh, okay.
We're about to graduate. We're about to go
Okay.
out into the world.
Sure.
Sweet.
We're a little scared about jobs.
Yeah. Number one, kill the narrative. Kill the narrative. We kind of talked a little bit about this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
There is... Have you guys done internships?
I have like work experience.
Okay.
In marketing a little bit.
Even internships don't show like what business is, and it's not because business is some crazy thing. But we just build the narratives around like I like Mad Men, the show Mad Men, and I want to be like Don Draper, except not a terrible person. But that's not what my job is. So some people, they see that side of me. They see like the like basically marketing is there's 3 different types of people. You have your artists, in no particular order. You have your artists, you have your nerds, and you have like your it factor people who are like trying to sell it and pitch it and do whatever.
Yep.
Right. Oh man, bring those 3 things together. If you want to be successful in marketing, don't focus on being really good at one thing, this is counter to, I mean, you can, and let me back up. It depends on what kind of career you want to have.
Yeah.
But if you want to keep in your field or even in that niche, it's not about just being good at the thing. It's about being able to explain why you did it and how you did it. I tell this to designers a lot because like I have an artistic side to me, obviously, and I'm always trying to protect my fellow artists. And I'm not a great designer. I'm like a graphic elements manipulator.
But that's what we all do.
Right.
Yeah.
But what's made me...
I've logged into Canva a few times.
Bro, don't hate on Canva.
I
Canva's
would
got it
never.
going.
I would never.
What I tell people, I told designers before, like, hey, don't just be a marker monkey. Because if you're just saying, oh, monkey see, monkey do, I can, okay, boss, you want me to put a red shadow on that? And you do it and it looks terrible, but like you can't even explain why it doesn't look good, or like what's going on. It's that because that can help you talk to either your clients or your superiors, but also talk to people below you. And so it helps you lead that way. That would be the number one thing, is kill the narrative around like everything you see on media, everything you see on television, everything you see from Gary Vee. And just...
Sorry,
your breath was
Gary Vee exhausts me.
Gary Vee
when
guy.
I think of him, it exhausts me.
It's so funny because like he was a huge part of my early career, and like in that era, it was Gary Vee, and
his word was law.
Yeah, my dad was a really big Grant Cardone guy.
Oh man, I love me some Grant Cardone just for the cringe factor. Oh man, I got something. Okay, I'm not gonna make those jokes.
Maybe when we're back on the clock, Yeah,
you're right. But yeah, kill that narrative and focus on being understanding. Focus on the systematic things that are happening behind what is actually happening.
Yeah,
we need more integrators now than ever with technology. Of course, with AI, everyone wants to talk about AI. Yes, AI is going to replace jobs. It is replacing jobs. I use AI every day and it replaces like some of my tasks that I used to do. But it only does that because I know the strategy behind how to, not even just to use AI itself, but like what's the philosophy and the structure and the hierarchy of like certain things within marketing that I can then translate to a person or to AI to actually get done. That would be the biggest thing. If people want to have a lasting career in marketing, be an integrator, be flexible, and follow the money. Like, if you want to talk about Grant Cardone, follow the money because, like, that's where your path is going to be. And I don't mean that in like a salesy way, but it's like just be open to the opportunities that come because you're probably going to end up in a position that you didn't imagine would be like. And that can be really good. It can be less good.
That is how I have every conversation I've had with somebody that's like worked professionally in marketing, or we've had them lecture at AMA, or we've seen them speak in any like capacity, has every single time it has always been like, yeah, I never thought I'd end up here.
Right.
I didn't think I'd be doing this. I thought I'd be doing this. It's way different, but it's great. And so, you know, that kind of prospect is really interesting because I'm open to that, but it's also like, you know, it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there's never been a set of a 3-year period where I've looked at my life and went, oh, I thought I was going to be there.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. And I think that's true overall. We live in the gig economy now. Like people are jumping around, people have side hustles, all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's here to stay.
I see.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for your advice, and thank you so much for being on. If you have anything you want to plug, there's a camera right there and a microphone right in front of you.
That's a lot of pressure. I don't like to talk about myself. Just kidding.
Just kidding.
Follow me on social at Wes Lehman on all channels. I'm not that active. I'm actually launching a new business.
Oh, wow.
Which I haven't talked about much publicly. This might be the first like public announcement that's not like in a room.
Oh, we're breaking news.
So I have, over the years, Urban Buffalo, which was like a full service agency to start with.
Yep.
And if you look at the website doesn't have much of anything. And that's because we've really shifted to being I've shifted to being a fractional CMO, but also doing the web agency stuff on the side, not on the side, along with it, like alongside it. And so the fractional CMO thing is very different. It's completely strategy focused, and that's the vast majority of what I do now. So CMOQ, CMO Quintessentials is what it stands for. So that's my fractional CMO. Basically, people hire me to be there. Like, CMOs usually cost like $400,000 or $500,000 to have a full-time CMO. I typically work with clients and companies that are in the $20 plus million range. And that's what CMOs charge at that level. And for a lot of those companies, it's just not feasible, nor should it be. And they don't need it. They have people who are doing the Don Draper and propping their feet up on the desk and drinking whiskey. But they've had a big job in the past, so they could charge that much. So I help bring that quintessential for just a slice of that pie. Help them get everything they need from marketing and leadership perspective.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, you guys, if you are interested in more things AMA, don't forget to show up to our general body meeting in BSN 225 on Tuesdays at 4:45 p.m. That is BSN 225 on Tuesdays at 4:45 p.m. Thank you again, Wes, for showing up. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Goodbye.